Vidim yem tam Baraka Shivam. Welcome to this video on the Zenaware channel. My name is Sri Satguru Buddha Rawa Bhagwan. Today's video on the channel we will talk about the Popol Vuh, so a Mayan story of creation. And there are different parts to the Mayan story of creation. And what we will discuss specifically in this part is the story of the stick people. So there was a story of creation in which stick people were created. And they existed in a stick realm. Stick people that made tick, 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 tick when they moved. Stick people with faces. So there was a whole civilization of these stick people. And the stick people were a warrior race. They were always at war with one another. Always. And even within the stick people, there were lords of war. Great generals and warriors within the stick people. And they used their technology in that story of the creation to wage war. So the stick people were always at war, always fighting. It was a story of war. And the great Lord of War, the great stick lord of death, led the stick people in these battles of theirs. A way for the god to enjoy his pastimes. But there came a day when the stick people disappointed the great god, the great conqueror, the stick lord of death. And then the god left the form of the great warrior. And unleashed the end of the stick people. It is said that the stick people perished in a great flood. And that this flood was a flood of sap. And in the creation story, God utilized the technology of leaves and their sap to eliminate all the stick people that had not lived up to his expectations. And so all the stick people were wiped out And in this way, the god was the Leaf Lord of decay. And wherever the sap of these leaves touched the stick people, they decayed. And it spread through their world. This is a part of the story of the Maya and its creation tale. The story of the stick people who were always at war, the warrior people, led by the great stick lord of death himself, the avatar of the god. Tick, 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 tick. The stick people. And as these are parts of the Mayan creation tale, parts of the telling of the story of the creator, of the god, well, in the same way, there are paths associated to that telling. So there are paths in America that one can take. For example, the path of the stick, which gets its power from the storyline of the stick people. A path of war. And as spiritual practitioners, they can take that path and use stick technology. But there is also the path of the leaf, which is also part of the creation story. That which was stronger than the stick, stronger than war, the decay of time. So these two paths are paths that one can take. And in the same way that Tantra is a path that can be used to affect the world around you, in India, or coming from India, well, the stick path or the leaf path are in the same way a way of interacting with the world. And these two paths are paths of knowledge, but paths of war. So in the same way that practitioners around the world, depending on who they are in their past lives, get their power from specific creation stories, okay, and exist within, have their origin in creation stories. Well, in the same way, in the creation story of the Maya, there is the stick men and their path of war and those technologies. And then there is the destructive force of God who destroyed them, the technology of the leaf. Two paths that can be learned and practiced. Thank you for listening to this video on the Zen Warrior channel.